All right, we are back. Episode 24 of the West Coast Mindset. As always, I'm Alberto Lucero, and I have a big announcement. As you see here, I am now part of a new media network, and I'm so excited. Big thank you to Michael Spillane. And yeah, man, I am now part of the Recliner Media Network, and you guys are going to see me on a lot more platforms, not only on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts on social media everywhere. And yeah, this platform is only going to grow from there. And I'm so excited. And I want to give big thanks to the people at the Recliner Media Network giving me this opportunity. And yeah, man, support the network, support the podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, review. And yeah, it's go time. And I'm super excited to come back to this great opportunity. And I'm not going to dwell on it. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm ready to go. So big thank you to the guys at the Recliner Media Network. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about in this first episode with this platform, starting with Jaylen Brown and his nonsense and his live stream. The Cavaliers bounce back in Game 3 at home in Cleveland, and the Knicks, they have a chance to possibly get the brooms out and sweep the 76ers. So let's get to it right now, beginning with Jaylen Brown. He went off on his live stream after the Celtics blew a 3-1 lead against the 76ers in the first round. And he said some pretty interesting things. He was complaining about the refs, that they were calling this push off move because when he takes his step back jump shot, he always extends that arm out, and he got away with it a lot in the regular season. But during the playoffs, the refs were like, "Nope, we're seeing you, dude. We've seen the evidence the entire season, and we're not gonna let you get away with it in these games here. If you're gonna do it, we're gonna call it." And they called it way more, and Jaylen Brown didn't like it, and he went on his live stream and he's saying a lot of ridiculous things about it. But it's like, dude, you have to know at some point they have the tape on you. The refs are studying every single game, and they're looking at every single game. And when it matters most, they're gonna make the big calls that matter in the big game, and it cost them a lot. And Jalen didn't really learn from it, and he had a really good year this year. He had by far the best year of his career because obviously Jason Tatum tore his Achilles last year in the playoffs against the Knicks, and and yeah, he took control, and he surprised a lot of people. It surprised me. I didn't think the Celtics were going to be second in the Eastern Conference and one of the best teams in the NBA, but he was a big reason why, and especially after letting all the veterans go like Porzingis and Drew Holiday, he stepped it up and he really helped those young players blossom and become really good NBA players, and they started playing defense, and he was a big reason why, because he was able to score a lot of points, career high in points, and he was out there giving a great effort defensively. He's by far one of the best two-way players in the league, and he showed it. But in this series, man, he crumbled. He crumbled really bad because, yeah, as I said, the Celtics were up 3-1 in the series, and the 76ers, they gotta give them credit, man. Joel Embiid played very, very well, and the Celtics were not able to match up with them. But for Jaylen Brown, he while doing this and blowing 3-1 lead, and then going off publicly, and then doubling down that the ref screwed him. That's just not a good look. And then after that, he says that this was the most fun season of his career. And after you blew a 3-1 lead, Celtics fans are not gonna like that you say that, man. I get it. Personally, it's great because yeah, you average a career high in points, a lot of big numbers across the border, across the board in your career. But to say that after a year after you won the championship, or 2 years after you won the championship, that's just not a good look because the Celtics, they're a brand of winning. They have by far the most championships in NBA history, and to hear you blossoming over your own numbers over a championship, that's just not a good taste that Celtics fans are gonna like. So Jaylen Brown is putting himself in a very interesting situation, and yeah, Jason Tatum came back off the Achilles, and he was looking like he was going to be the guy going into the playoffs. But obviously, Jaylen Brown was the healthier one, and he was still taking all the big shots. But Jason Tatum was playing very well. I was very impressed. I did not think that when Tatum came back off the Achilles, he was going to be back to close to his full self that quickly, because he was like back to 90%. He was hitting his threes. He was getting more aggressive, getting to the basket. He was getting rebounds, and he looked good. And I was very, very impressed. But he was not able to play in the game 7, and Jaylen Brown just couldn't deliver. And like I've told many people, when you play in a game 7, you need your best players. I know Jaylen Brown was carrying the team for most of the year, and those players were able to step up in Jason Tatum's absence. But yeah, in a game 7, you need your best players to come through. And unfortunately for the Celtics, they just weren't able to do that because Jaylen Brown had to do all the heavy lifting, and he didn't have any help from Jason Tatum or anybody else in the lineup. And it was just a bad look. And Joel Embiid took full advantage of it. Celtics had no size, and yeah, the Sixers were able to move on. And Jaylen Brown is putting himself in a very tough situation. Does he want to be traded? Does he want to go somewhere else and be an alpha and be the number 1 option, and try to win a championship that way? Because they could do it, because the Celtics have a lot of interesting situations to handle this offseason, because uh, maybe they want to make a trade and possibly trade Jaylen Brown, maybe for Giannis, or maybe go get Anthony Davis, because they need a big man, because they got exposed, as I said, in the series with their size. Vucevic was a nice addition at the trade deadline, but he's starting to get older, and he's not a great defender as he used to be. Neemias Queta is a pretty good center. I like him. He's a good young center, but he might demand more money because he had by far the best year of his career, and they may want to extend to him. But he's still kind of raw as a center, and he's a pretty good defender, but they don't have a lot of depth there. Luka Garza is a good, skilled big man, but he's a liability defensively as well. So the Celtics got to make a move and get a big man inside that can do some damage, because you can only do so much with so much perimeter play. And another thing, Joe Mazzulla, he got exposed. He got outcoached in that series against Nick Nurse. You have to change the way you play, because as we saw last year against the Knicks, they missed by far the most threes in NBA history in the playoff series, and they were just kept taking threes, and it was not a good look. And they did it again this time when it was a close game. It was down to the final minutes. What did they keep doing? Keep shooting threes. It's like, bro, you're down by 1 or 2 points. Just get to the basket and drive to the basket and get an easy layup. I don't understand why you have to keep launching 50, 63 pointers when you know you're not making it. Like, the odds are, if you're ice cold and you miss about 23 pointers, you're not going to keep making them because you're out of rhythm, and you're just going to keep chucking up bad shots and just wasting the shot clock. And Joe Mazzulla has been questioned in that series, and he's going to be questioned a lot going into next season. Is he the right guy as the head coach for the Celtics? We'll see. Will Jaylen Brown be back? We'll see about that. And yeah, there's a lot of questions for the Celtics going into next season, and they have high expectations, and we'll see what they do going into next season. If Jaylen Brown is indeed there or wants out, it's going to be interesting. So keep an eye on that. So moving on to a fun, very, very fun game last night. The Pistons had a 2-0 lead going into Cleveland, and the Cavaliers had their back against the wall. James Harden was struggling the first 2 games, and he might have been the biggest reason why that the Cavaliers were in such a big hole, because he did not show up. He was turning the ball over like crazy, wasn't shooting the ball well. But you got to give him credit, man. He hit some big shots in this game, and he made the plays that mattered the most. And Donovan Mitchell was outstanding. 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. He was hitting step back threes. He was making effort plays defensively, and they were playing desperate. And credit to the Cavaliers, they got out to a big lead early, and then took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit in the second half. And the Pistons made a run, and they were able to get back in the game late, because Cade Cunningham, who's been absolutely outstanding this whole postseason, triple-double, 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists, and he was by far the driving force for the Pistons making their comeback, but they just weren't able to get all the way past the finish line in the end. But he's been outstanding. And Paul Reed, man, Paul Reed got a couple of minutes. He was a plus 12 and 10 minutes off the bench at center. Jalen Duren's been very up and down this postseason. And yeah, when Paul Reed came in and took over for Duren those 10 minutes, he made a big impact, and the Pistons were able to get back in the game. Duncan Robinson was very good, hit a couple 3-pointers, and yeah, the Pistons play that very gritty style. And this was the question about the Cavaliers going to the playoffs. Are they tough enough? Do they have that grit? Can they handle physical play? And so far in these 3 games, although they won yesterday, the Pistons have been able to have their way physically. They've been bullying them, getting in the paint against them, but being very physical against Donovan Mitchell, against James Harden, and making them earn their points. And to the credit of the Cavaliers, they were able to play tough yesterday and just were able to hang on. And yeah, James Harden was very good, as I said, 19 points. He was efficient from the field, 8 for 14 on his field goals, 7 assists. Hit a big 3-pointer late in the final minute to seal the game, and he looked like a typical James Harden. Was hitting step back 3-pointers. He was confident. He didn't over dribble as much. He was still dribbling quite a bit, but he was able to do his thing and get in the lane and get people involved. And he was hitting a step back, and yeah, that's a good sign if you're a Cavaliers fan. But as we know, with James Harden's history in the playoffs, he'll have these big performances in the middle of a series. But then when it comes to in a big game where you need him the most, he can shrink. So Cavaliers fans, don't be too comfortable now, because yeah, this is James Harden's MO. When he was in Houston, when he was in Oklahoma City, when he was in Brooklyn, all of his stops. He's always had that one game where you're like, wow, okay, this is the guy that's the multiple time All-Star, former MVP, future Hall of Fame player. But yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell needs to continue to be the driving force, and James Harden just has to keep playing second fiddle and not over dribble. And if they can do that, then yeah, the Cavaliers can possibly tie the series, playing another game at home for Game 4, and this will be interesting. And yeah, I'm very impressed with the Cavs. They played a lot better defensively. The twin towers of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen really gave the effort on the defensive end. They were getting rebounds, and that's key because yeah, as I said with the toughness of the Pistons, Jalen Duren's a tough, burly center. Paul Reed played well, as I said. Big Stu, Isaiah Stewart. He's very physical, and he's going to get up in you, and he's going to make you feel it when you get in the lane. And credit to the big men of Cleveland. They were able to step up and they toughened up, and they were able to do their thing. And Max Strus played well off the bench, and Sam Merrill hit a couple of big threes. And overall, great game. I had a great time watching this game. I was watching this game on my phone when I was when I was in the car, and I couldn't miss it because yeah, I was watching it before I left to go to a family member's house, and yeah, there's no way I can miss it. So I was in the back seat watching it, and I was going crazy, and it was so fun to watch. So great game, great performance, and yeah, if this game can possibly go 6-7 games if the Cavaliers keep this up, and I hope so because I was afraid with what I was seeing the first 2 games in Detroit with the way that the Pistons were punking them, that this was going to be a quick series, at least a gentleman's sweep at the most. But now that the Cavs bounce back, then yeah, we possibly may have a good series, and this is good for the ratings and good overall because if it was looking like a sweep, then yeah, the Cavaliers were definitely gonna break things up, and they still can because yeah, they still have to win one more game, and they still have to tie it up. But yeah, if they lose the series, will Donovan Mitchell want out? Will they let James Harden go because James Harden's a free agent? Will they trade Evan Mobley? Will they trade Jared Allen? There's a lot of questions coming out of Cleveland, so they have to bounce back and they got to tie the series and get the job done. Because I get it, I get Detroit was the first overall seed, but they have flaws because as we saw in that first round against the Magic, they were down 3-1 for a reason because it's because Cade Cunningham was fantastic, but as we saw many times in that series, there was no consistent second scorer. Jalen Duren really hasn't been consistent. And then Tobias Harris came in late, and he's been playing very well ever since that he had that big performance in Game 7 against the Magic. But can you really rely on Tobias Harris to be your second scorer for the rest of the playoffs? He's doing it so far, but we've seen in the past he has his up and down moments as well. So we'll see about that. So the Pistons have some questions, and if they move on, then they're obviously in a greater position. And the Cavaliers, yeah, if they lose this series, there could be some changes in Cleveland coming up. All right, so let's close it out now with the New York Knicks, who are up 3-0 against the 76ers, and they could possibly close it out with the sweep today on Sunday on Mother's Day. By the way, happy Mother's Day to all the great mothers out there. Love you, mom. And yeah, it's been a great weekend in sports, and overall, just celebrate all the mothers out there. So happy Mother's Day. Anyway, um, yeah, the Knicks can bring out the brooms and sweep the 76ers. And this is interesting because yeah, the Sixers after that tough games 7-game series against the Celtics, I thought that they were going to come in to the Garden and compete and possibly get a split. But credit to the Knicks, man. Jalen Brunson's been outstanding. He's been averaging 26 points and 3.3 rebounds the last couple of games, and he's been playing very well. And Karl Anthony Towns, he's playing like the Karl Anthony Towns that the Knicks have been wanting to play as ever since they got him. He's playing physical. He's matching up with Embiid, and he's outplaying Embiid, and he's playing very, very well. He's getting in the lane, and he's playing kind of like a point center role. They're giving the ball to him on the block. He's drawing the double teams, and he's throwing it out to open shooters. And he's been playmaking very well. So credit to him on that. I didn't think he had that in him, but yeah, he has some playmaking skill, and he's getting out to those shooters, and they're hitting those shots. So credit to Cat. And yeah, Jalen Brunson, as I said, is doing this thing. He's a very, 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 very clutch player. He had some instances in that first round against the Hawks where he was playing a little too much ISO ball, but once they put the ball in Cat's hands and he was playing more of the playmaker role, and he was getting out to Brunson on a catch and shoot on the perimeter, he's been way more efficient. Everyone else is more involved, and the offense is flowing, man. They're scoring a lot of points, man. Credit to Mike Brown. I've been critical of him in the past where he can be a bit of a mid coach where he has a good regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, he's kind of shaky. He doesn't make adjustments. But so far in these playoffs, man, he's made his adjustments. After the Hawks in that first round gave him a bit of a scare, going up 2-1, the Knicks bounced back, and they were able to get physical and make shots and show that grit. And they brought it into this series. And yeah, they're up 3-0. And in that game 3 in Philadelphia, I thought they were in trouble because yeah, the Sixers got out to a big lead in that first quarter, and it looks like that the loss of OG Anunoby, who's a game time decision by the way in this game for game 4 with the hamstring, not having him was going to be a big loss, and it looked like it in that first quarter, but they were able to bounce back and they played tough. They got physical. Paul George was out to a hot start, but then they shut him down. And then they were able to get all up in Joel Embiid. And by the way, Joel Embiid does not look right. And that's another story. I'll get to that later. But they were able to get into Joel Embiid. They made it tough for Tyrese Maxey. He couldn't get into the lane as much as he wanted to. And yeah, they're bringing it on defense and offense. And I like what I'm seeing from the Knicks. And if I was a better, I definitely would put a wager on the Knicks to possibly get to the finals out of the Eastern Conference, because as we see with the way the Cavaliers are looking, being down 2-1 to the Pistons, and as we've seen with the Pistons with their inconsistency in that first round, although they're up 2-1, it's looking like the Knicks are the best team left in the Eastern Conference, especially with the Celtics also being eliminated in the first round. Yeah, the Knicks are looking very, very good, and they're looking like a legit championship contender. I know that they're most likely not going to win because I think that the winner of the whoever wins the championship is coming out of the Western Conference between either the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Spurs or maybe the Timberwolves. Although the Timberwolves got annihilated in that second half against the Spurs, but yeah, out of the East for sure, I think the Knicks look like they could be the team to come out of the East and possibly challenge somebody, whoever comes out of the West, to win the championship. And yeah, OG Anunoby, he has the hamstring. We'll see if he plays in this game, and if not, I don't see why you just rest him. You're up 3-0. If you lose this game, game four, you go back to New York and then possibly bring Anunoby back and see if he's good to go. But if not, yeah, you're up 3-0. Let him rest. Move on to the next series. If you win, let him rest. You got a couple days. He'll be good to go because hamstrings are very very delicate, as we've seen with the Lakers with Luka Doncic. He went to Spain. He got all that stem cell stuff, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, he could be back pretty soon. He could be back in the middle of the series. He could be back early in the series against the Thunder." But then all of a sudden, Shams Charania comes out and says, "No, there's pretty much no chance that Luka comes back." And as we saw last night, the Lakers are now down 0-3, and it's over for them. I don't know how they can come back in that series. It's they were already big underdogs as it is, and yeah, without Luka, it's a wrap. And Luka's not going to come back, and the Lakers are pretty much punting on it. They're saying, "Hey, we want our guy fully healthy for next year, and we don't want to take any chances." So going back to OG Anunoby, I'm pretty sure the Knicks are probably feeling that way too. So they're probably going to sit him out for Game 4. And hey, if they may not need him, because if they play the same way they played in Game 3, then yeah, they can possibly move on and be ready for whoever comes out of the Pistons Cavaliers series fully rested with a lot of time under their belt. And OG Anunoby will be back, and Jalen Brunson can take a breather. Karl Anthony Towns can take a breather because they've been doing some heavy lifting in this series. And yeah, things are looking good if you're a Knicks fan, and they possibly could move on after this game. We'll see what the outcome is this afternoon. And yeah, for Joel Embiid, this is a bad look for him because he played very, very well. I'll give him a lot of credit. He played outstanding in that 7-game series against the Celtics. But in this series, man, he's been very up and down, mostly down. He played. He got outplayed by Karl Anthony Towns in that first game where the Sixers got annihilated. It was over from the start. Not a great look for him. Then he misses the second game with the injury, and this is a story with Joel Embiid. I've said it many times. You can never rely on him. He'll have a good stretch where he plays well, and looks like the All-Star MVP player he was in the past. But then all of a sudden he misses a game. Oh yeah, he has a knee issue. He has a appendectomy issue. He has a stomach issue. It's like, bro, like can we rely on you to show up and come in and come to play every single game? You just can't. It's the same thing with Kawhi Leonard. All of a sudden he has a little knick-knack injury and he can't play in the biggest game. And it cost them. And the 76ers, they did compete in that second game, and they played pretty well, but just weren't able to close it out in the end because they didn't have that one guy where you can just dump the ball to and go get a bucket. It was all Tyrese Maxey just driving to the lane, and credit to the Knicks defense. They were able to regroup and double team and get in the lane and make it tough for him. And yeah, Paul George was not able to do his thing. Kelly Oubre couldn't do his thing. And VJ Edgecombe is a rookie, and it's tough for him in his first playoffs. And yeah, overall, the loss of Embiid has been tough. And then in that game 3, you can tell he was clearly not himself. He looked very, very slow. The Knicks were getting into the lane and challenging him a lot, and he just wasn't able to do anything. And Karl Anthony Towns is outplaying him, and it's not a good look if you're a Sixers fan. So we'll see if possibly they may want to move on from him this offseason, or they may want to have him come off the bench or something, because I'm pretty sure Sixers ownership and Sixers fans are pretty much done with Joel Embiid. I get it. They love him. They drafted him. He was their MVP, and it was supposed to be a great thing with him and Ben Simmons coming up when they went through the process, when they were going through all that losing earlier in those years. But the results have been mostly down and up, and it's looking like Joel Embiid's time could come to an end in Philadelphia if they don't find a way to miraculously come back in this series. Because yeah, being down 0-3, it's pretty much a wrap. There's been no team that's never come back from an 0-3 deficit, and yeah, the Sixers are in hot water and they have a lot of questions coming up this offseason. And also Paul George with his contract and his inconsistency, although he has played pretty well after he came back from that PD suspension. But yeah, the Sixers have a lot of questions. But they have a bright spot with Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. That young backcourt is very, very talented and has a chance to be pretty good. So you can build around that. But when it comes to the aging players like Paul George and Joel Embiid, it's it's interesting to see if they bring them back because yeah, those guys are obviously long in the tooth and they have a lot of injury issues. And we'll see what the Sixers ownership does going into the future. And this was episode 24 of the West Coast Mindset, now on the Recliner Media Network. So excited for this opportunity, as I said in the beginning. And I want to give a big thanks to you guys. And remember, like, subscribe, rate, review. And now you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcast now. I'm all over the place now, thanks to the Recliner Media Network. And I'm very excited for this opportunity. And I'm going to keep going through with it the next couple of weeks and going forward, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. So keep up with me, keep up with the network. And with that, I'm Alberto Lucero, and I'll see you guys next week.